A false edge blow is called a falso. Rising, normally, can come from the right side, falso dritto, can come from the left side, falso manco. And we use it to strike the hand of an opponent, strike the blade of an opponent, or even strike the face of an opponent. Commonly done throughout all of the Bolognese masters. Now, doing this properly is important because if you don't do it correctly, you could disarm yourself. And let's talk about why that would be. So if we're hitting something, could be an arm, could be a sword, and I'm striking with the false edge. Now, when I strike with the false edge, what part of the false edge? How do we know? Dall'agocchie stated that when you make a falso, you will be striking with the debole of your sword, almost always. There's a couple of exceptions, but we're not going to worry about that for now. So when I strike with the intention of wounding someone or beating their blade, it's got to be something that's forceful. So if I start from portfolio larga and I raise up to strike something, you see the way my hand is positioned here? If I simply start from this low position and raise my arm up and strike with force, this can result in my own sword being peeled out of my hand. You see? The stronger I do that, this can cause my sword to come out. So when we contact whatever it is that we're hitting, you don't want your hand in this position. Right as I'm about to strike, I pull my wrist inward. So the motion goes this way, and at the last moment, there is a pull inward, strongly upward. So when I'm striking, my hand is in this position, not in that position. Okay, so from down here, we can practice making these beats. And so commonly done is to do this and then strike. And you can see how by pulling in tightly on my wrist, my hand's brought up like this. At the last moment, I go like that. I pull it in here like that, and even the elbow can be involved in that. And you can see the effect of that and how that leads to that true edge face strike. So keep this idea in mind. If it's the hand, you see there, I lifted it toward the hand, but at the last moment, I pulled my wrist inward to strike, so my hand is in this position so that my blade and my arm are not in one line like this. This is not how you should be hitting anything. When you hit, the blade and the arm are at different angles. So if I'm using my falso to beat a blade, there's different considerations here. If I'm bringing my sword directed going over my shoulder, I'm losing a lot of energy, is sliding off that blade. If I have the intention of getting this out of my face so I can do something, I need to make sure I knock it clear. And so this action is very sideways. And look where I stop, not past border di faccia, so I can then normally do something here. And also, so we talked about I should be using my debole, but what part of the opponent's blade should I be hitting? It's stronger down here. I'm going to get less of effect if I hit in his forte. And if I hit too much to the debole, I'm missing a lot. You can't aim for here. You'll miss half the time. So I recommend the mezza spada, which is the middle or slightly above the mezza spada in this. If you divide this into thirds or even quarters, the second quarter, I say this is the sweet spot to hit with the falso. And I'm saying, given that I don't want to send my own sword of my shoulder, I want to make sure when I strike this that I'm bending my wrist to make sure it's actually the false edge. This is not the flat here, so that's what this feels like, is the flat is hitting that. Make sure you turn the edge in here. Sometimes I don't want to go past the center so that I can go in. Sometimes I don't care so much, because if I go past the center, that just leads to a cut, and that's okay. So there's more than one way that could be done. There are exceptions to everything. Furthermore, I could be making this action in offense, like I am now, and my footwork can be, accordingly typical driving the front foot forward with the rear foot, as they say. I could be doing this in defense. I could be doing this stepping differently and making a different, that looked very different. It's still a falso, but the conditions cause me to do it in a way that is best for that circumstance. So there is more than one way to do it, but certain things are always going to be true about it. What I just showed was coming from Portiere larga. We see this a lot. Anonimo Bolognese has many circumstances of acting in larga. Mancellino has a whole section on how to begin in Portiere larga. And there are falsi that are thrown, falsi being the plural of falso. Furthermore, Marozzo has moments where he starts in Portiere larga throwing this. So it happens. It's maybe not as common as being in Portiere stretta. Now, if I want to make a falso from Portiere stretta, and I want to do the same thing, I want to knock his sword away. Do I just raise my sword up like this? Or if I want to wound him from Portiere stretta, do I just lift my sword? I've got to still get this power generation of dropping the sword initially. It's got to happen. You don't simply raise your sword. That's not a falso. That's not their intention. Can't beat his blade with that. So I still understand that I don't want to hit his sword with my arm in this position of being disarmed. Although I will say, someone said, I believe it was Vigiani, but I could be wrong. Somebody said, if you're throwing these types of blows and you're getting your sword knocked out of your hand, grip it stronger. And I'm all for that. If you're dropping your sword, hold it tighter. Figure that out. So if my sword is in this position, I want to strike, I'll have to first slightly lower it and then bring this up with the force in the right way, but again, snap my wrist so that I don't have my sword positioned in a potential disarming configuration. Okay? Right from there. From this position, drop it a bit, get the snap. In this case, I'm driving my front foot forward, and there, knock it out of the way so that I can make a cut, or thrust as the case may be. There's probably from here now, from here, you'll have to drop it a bit and still get the snap of the wrist. The main point here is if you have to drop it, don't hit it like that.